morning, children. Today I am going to teach you class 8 Magnolia English Reader. The first chapter, The Adventure of the Speckled Band. The Adventure of Speckled Band I am going to teach you. Today I will teach you the half of the portion, that is page number 1 to 3. Page number 1 to 3 I am going to teach you. So the other half portion, the next video you will get. Then question answer I will send to you. So let us start the adventure of the Speckled Band. What the story goes. The adventure means what? To take risk something about. To risk something about, that is called adventure. And the Speckled Band means it is an Indian snake that has been discussed here, especially in this chapter. At the end of the chapter you will come to know about this. So now I am going to start the lesson, The Adventure of the Speckled Band. So about the author, something I will tell you, that is written by Arthur Conan Doyle. He is born 1859, died 1930, and was a Scottish writer. He was a Scottish writer and a physician, and most famous for his series of stories that is featuring the detective Sherlock Holmes. The most popular of these works are the novels The Hound of Baskervilles, A Study in Scarlet, and The Sign of the Four. He also created a set of fantasy and science fiction adventures around the character of Professor Challengers. So about this we came to know Arthur Conan Doyle, who is presenting this lesson. So children, let us see. It was early in April. Now we are starting our study early in April, that a young lady arrived to meet Sherlock Holmes. A lady arrived to meet Sherlock Holmes. A person is called Sherlock Holmes. And good morning, madam, said Holmes cheerily, happily, and drew up to the fire, for I observe that you are shivering. That means he is calling to draw up. That means he is calling her to come nearby the fire in order to make warm up her body, because he saw that that lady was shivering. So it is fear which makes me shiver. It is not that it is a winter climate that makes her shiver, but it is fear which makes me shiver. That is Mr. Holmes. And she told Mr. Holmes that it is not that is the shivering, I am shivering of this winter or cold, but I am shivering of fear. It is terror. It is a very frightening, said the woman in a low voice. The woman was unable to speak loud. She raised her veil as she spoke. She was just covering the veil, and when she spoke, she raised her veil, and we could see that her face was drawn and grey with restless, frightened eyes. What is drawn and grey? Here meaning is given, drawn and grey. That means her face looked pale because of worry. Her face looked pale because of worry. My name is Helen. My name is Helen Stoner. She is telling, my name is Helen Stoner. What is her name? Her name is Helen Stoner. And I live with my stepfather. She is living with her stepfather, name called Grimsby Roylott of Stoke Moran. She hasn't her own father, and she has her stepfather. His name is Dr. Grimsby Roylott of Stoke Moran. That doctor is living, the place is called Stoke Moran. And when Dr. Roylott was in India, he married my mother. She is explaining about that. When he was in India, he married to Helen's mother. And Mrs. Stoner, the young widow of Major General Stoner. Mrs. Stoner was the young general, that is a young widow of Major General Stoner. And my twin sister Julia and I were only 2 years old. So Julia and Helen, they both were twin sisters, and they were 2 years old by the time her mother married to another person. So at the time of our mother's marriage, my mother left her fortune to Dr. Roylott entirely with a provision that is a certain annual sum and be given to each of us in the event of our marriage. So what it means, the provision means here a condition and an arrangement in a legal document that is written that something should be given to for their livelihood. Dr. Grimsby Roylott will give till their marriage. So that was the provision meaning. And shortly after our return to England, my mother died. When they returned to England, the mother died. Dr. Roylott then took us to live with him in the old manor house to Stoke Moran. So here what happened, after 2 years they back to England by the time her mother died, Helen's mother died. But a terrible change came over our stepfather. There was a terrible change came with her stepfather. He shut himself up to the house and seldom came out except to indulge a quarrel with whoever might cross his path. What happened? Suddenly she came to know that her stepfather, something changed in his mind, and suddenly he went into the house and shut the door and remained. And he used to quarrel with the person, those who crossed with that door. He was indulged. Here indulged means here he was to take part in something else. So in quarrel with whoever might cross his path, he has a passion for Indian animals. Anyhow, he has the passion and the sentiments, emotion for the Indian animals, and he has at this moment a cheetah and a baboon which are feared by the villagers almost much as their master. What happened? He was very much interested in animals, Indian animals, and he has kept perhaps a cheetah and a baboon, and which are feared by the villagers almost much as their master. So they were very much afraid of his animals than him. So my sister Julia died just 2 years ago. Now she is explaining about that, all the story of her house to that Holmes. What happened here? After 2 years also she lost her sister, and it is of her death that I wish to speak to you. Julia went to visit our aunt near Harrow. This is the place called Harrow 2 years ago, and got engaged to an officer from the Marines here. She changed and got changed an officer from a Marines there. What is the Marines there? Here meaning. The Marines meaning is here is called the troops trained to serve on land or was subject to. Okay, that means the troop which is serving in land and sea, that is called marine. So my stepfather did not object to. The stepfather also did not object to marry this marine. But within a fortnight, within 15 days of the day which had been, that is fixed for the wedding, the terrible event occurred which has deprived me of my own companion. The terrible event that occurred there when within the fortnight of the day which had been fixed for the wedding ceremony. The terrible event that occurred which has deprived me of my own companion. Deprived me. What is the meaning of deprived me? And took away something that she needed. It is taken away something that Helen needed. Pray be more precise as to the details, said Holmes. So Holmes said that pray, I request that be more precise because I do not have the time to hear all this story. That fatal night, that deadly night, my sister left her room. Next door, our stepfathers, and came to mine. Tell me, Helen. And she said, have you ever heard anyone whistles in the dead of the night? Julia came and asked Helen that what she asked, have she heard? Had she heard ever? Anyone whistles in the dead of the night? And Helen replied that never. She said never. But why do you ask? Helen is asking to her sister. Because during the first few nights, about 3 in the morning, I have heard a low, clear whistle. And with that, she went to the room. A few moments later, I heard her key turned into the lock. That means what she said? Because during the last few nights, about 3 in the morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning, she heard something low and clear whistle. And with that, she went to bed. And a few moments later, Helen heard her key turn into the lock. She heard that that door is locked. Door is locked there. So here I could not sleep at night. That Helen could not sleep that night. She had a vague feeling that something terrible might happen. The wind was howling outside and the rain was beating against the windows. Suddenly, there burst forth a wild scream in my sister's voice. What happened in that particular night? Helen did not get sleep. And she was vaguely feeling that something terrible might happen. Vaguely means she was thinking something may happen in that night. The wind was howling. There was a wind is blowing very gustily and outside. And the rain was beating against, clattering, slatting the windows. Suddenly there burst forth a wild scream in her sister's voice. As I opened my door, I heard a low whistle. When she opened the door, Helen heard a slow whistle and my sister appeared at the door. Helen's sisters appeared at the door and her face blanched with terror. Her face blanched with terror. Here, blanched with terror means here her face was pale because of shock and fright. Her face was pale because of shock and fright. So burst forth a wild scream in the sister's voice, and Helen opened the door, and she heard a low whistle, and her sister appeared to the door, her face blanched with terror. Her face was pale with fright. As she fell to the ground, she shrieked, "Oh my God, Helen," she said. It was the band. It was the band, the Speckled band. And she pointed in the direction of our stepfather's room. That means a band means it is a very thin and lengthy snake. Name is called band, that is given Indian snake. And she pointed the direction of our father's step room, that father's stepfather's room. That means she pointed in the direction of their stepfather's room. But a fresh convulsion seized her and choked her words. Convulsion means what? A violent shaking of the body that cannot be controlled. And she was shocked and she was unable to speak. Her voice was choked. I rushed out, calling loudly for my stepfather, and he sent for medical aid and from the village, but all effort were in vain. When from the village the medical aid when her stepfather sent, by the time Julia was no more. 2 years have passed since then, and my life has been lonelier than ever. Already 2 years, Helen is spending her time lonely. She is spending her time solitary life. So, but a month ago, a dear friend asked me to marry him. 1 month ago, a dear friend of Helen came and proposed to her to marry her. So, her stepfather has not opposed the match. Stepfather did not go against this, but he was agreed with that. And we are to be married in spring. In springtime, they wanted to marry. They were to marry. But 2 days ago, some repair were started in her room, and he had to move into the chamber in which her sister died. So before marriage, her chambers should be repaired, room should be repaired. By the time she wanted to go her sister's room where she died. Imagine my terror then. And when last night I suddenly heard again the low whistle which had heralded my sister's death. Again, when she was sleeping the last night, she heard that the low voice of a whistle, and she believed that when whistle is blown, by the time the death comes. So in this way she was very much afraid of that. And I sprang up and lit the lamp, but nothing could be seen. When she heard the whistling of the sound, and she got up immediately, and she sprang up from the bed and she lit the lamp, but did not see anything else, or could not see anything else in that room or outside of the room. So she was too shaken to go to bed again. And as soon as the day broke, she came here to ask for his device. She came to ask, that is Holmes' advice. So in this way, the story she is explaining. After a long silence, Holmes said, he was listening silently, and if we were to come to Stockmoran today, so if they wanted to go to Stockmoran, the place where Helen lived there, and would be possible for us to see these rooms, and without the knowledge of your stepfather, he is asking that if they go to Moran, and if they go to check this room without the knowledge of stepfather, he is asking. As it happened, he spoke of coming into town today on some important business. It is probable that he will be away all days. So he heard that he will be away all days. So in that way, so the story goes, and Holmes wanted to go to Moran and check in that room. Excellent, you may expect us early in the afternoon. And he got the permission and the expectation that he had, so they can go to early in the afternoon. I look forward to seeing you then. And she took leave of us.